260 seconds today.
I know, moving away from the basics of motivation. Hello and welcome to the Urban Vitality podcast. My name is John Limpus, and today I'm very lucky to have a really exciting member of the new health industry. Her name is Claire Williamson, and she's otherwise known as the Healthy Bluebird. Hello, Claire. Morning.
Hi.
How are
Thanks
you?
for having me. Good, thank you.
That's good. Good morning. I know it's quite early today, so
Yeah.
I've already been seeing your tweets about your dog with carrot juice and stuff like this already this morning, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, you are fairly new to the health industry,
Yeah.
but you've already made quite a big impact. So can you just quickly tell me, how you got into health? That's the first thing.
Yeah. So I actually used to be a corporate litigator at a Magic Circle law firm,
Okay.
one of the big ones. And I was just working crazy hours. I was constantly feeling under pressure and I was incredibly stressed. I never had any energy and I just felt pretty miserable, to be honest. Whilst I was working there, unfortunately, I found out that my dad had been diagnosed with motor neuron disease, which is a really awful disease. It kind of slowly paralyzes the victim whilst they're kind of, mentally aware, and they lose the use of their speech, unable to swallow, the use of all their limbs. So yeah, it's a really horrible illness.
Is that similar to the Stephen Hawking kind of?
Yeah, that's what he
okay.
has. Yeah.
Okay.
So really, really awful. And kind of within 7 months of finding out that he had this, I had to kind of stop law for a little while, move back to Scotland, spend a bit of time with him. And at that time, I kind of decided that I wanted something positive to come out of this. So I was like, okay, what could I do? I could maybe run a half marathon to raise some money. Had never ran before. So I kind of got into running, couched to 5K. Not fun.
Yeah, I can
My
imagine.
friend decided to do it with me and she had to kind of drag me around all the time. I hated it to start off with.
Okay.
But yeah, I just kind of realised that it really gave me some kind of mental clarity and space. Unfortunately, 10 months after being diagnosed with motor neuron disease, my dad passed away. And everyone thought I was mental, that even on the morning of his funeral, I went for a run. I just kind of really had got into it by that point and understood the benefits that exercise could give you. The following year, I went on to a full marathon.
Wow.
The year after that, I decided, I don't know why I decided to do this, but I did, that I would do 3 marathons in a month for charity, for MND. I raised over £5,000, which was incredible.
God.
And last year I did the Hilly Loch Ness Marathon. So really got into running.
So are you still into running now? Is that still your
Yeah,
default
I've had a
exercise?
stress fracture on my foot, which is really unfortunate. It's kind of put me off for a few months. But just last night, I was kind of like, right, I'm going to book a marathon this year. So I think I'm going to do the Guernsey Marathon,
Wow.
which is great.
And before your father, the tragedy that happened there, were you into exercise or health really at all? Or was it just kind of fits and starts?
As a, let's see how kind of, keep as skinny as possible type early, what girls are like in their early 20s, kind of get that. So yeah, no, I wasn't fully in. For me, I was kind of brought up on a diet of chicken nuggets and chips, being from Scotland and all. And I was just an incredibly fussy eater.
Yeah.
So then when I kind of did start getting into food when I was doing running, because obviously nutrition is so important when you're doing that kind of thing, I was like, all aboard the protein bandwagon, let's eat chicken breasts all day, thinking this is it, this is the way to do it.
Solved.
But then I found I was kind of topping that up with jelly babies because I had no energy. I was just sugar cravings were just really taking over my life.
You can easily get into that when you're on that kind of high, lots of running and just craving energy all the time. So
yeah, and you just kind of don't realize the kind of the impact that a diet like that has. And I didn't realize how bad sugar was for me. I then decided that I was gonna give up meat for ethical reasons. After learning a bit more about factory farming, so I had to find something else to eat, which really got me into looking at raw food and vegetables and understanding how amazing they could taste and how easy it could be to cook, to be honest. And that's kind of when I started getting more into the nutrition side of it, and I found that eating better really stabilized my energy levels. And as a lawyer, I was working 70 plus hours a week. It was madness. And yeah, the one thing that really stayed in my life the whole way through that was sugar cravings. I managed to kind of clean up the rest of my diet, but that was still there. And I just found, it was really, really affecting me on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, luckily that's gone now.
Cool. So, and that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I know
Yeah.
that when we first met, I'm always, and I know you're a nutritionist and you're doing a qualification to become a naturopath. So that's
Oh,
you know, normally a 3-4 year qualification, which you'll be doing in 2 years, 2.5 years, fast
yeah,
tracking it,
I'm going straight through,
cramming
no
in it,
summer breaks for me.
using those lawyer skills, those lawyer work
Yeah.
habits. But and I like to ask people what they're most passionate about. And for you, you were quite clear. The thing I love working with most is everyday people who are really struggling with food, with sugar cravings. So,
Yeah.
and now I understand why, because I've heard your story and the fact that
Mm.
you changed a lot of things, but you still had these sugar cravings. And I'll be honest, I still get sugar cravings definitely when I'm tired.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's the default setting is if I can't have a nap, which is my normal thing I do if I'm tired, but I
Yeah.
will, the sugar is the best alternative for me. So, what, how do you help people with those issues? If you've got 3 tips, the 3 go-to things, what would you advise people to experiment with?
Yeah, well, I think, like, firstly, people really need to change their attitude towards these sugar cravings. It's not a lack of willpower that's making us have these cravings. It's our body trying to tell us something. So, you just directly relate to that. If you're tired, you have them. So there's a reason why you're having it, and I think people really beat themselves up and they feel really guilty about eating it. Given the fact that we're also really predisposed to, our bodies are predisposed to crave fat and sugar, and that's like good to them because it's a source of energy. It's no kind of wonder we're addicted to white stuff.
Mm,
But yeah, 3 tips. So I would think, firstly, as just kind of touched on there, figure out why you're having these cravings. I hate asking my clients to do this, but I think it's something that really gets to the bottom of it, is asking them to keep a food diary. So if you keep a food diary, you can really quickly identify kind of the themes and what's causing you to have these cravings. And I think that quite often what comes out of the food diary is that people are simply not eating enough. You know, they'll have a smoothie for breakfast, or a cereal bar, and then like a small salad for lunch, and they think they're being so good because they're not eating loads of fat and they're not eating, they're
mm,
eating minimal.
yeah,
But then they're surprised that by 3 p.m. their body is just like crying out for energy, and it does that with craving sugar. So I think my clients are always really surprised that I make them eat more, and not only do they lose weight, they also kind of they lose their sugar cravings, which is
great.
amazing.
Perfect. So that's a good one. So keep a food diary, and because there are apps you can use. You can take photos of your food. You can
Yeah.
write it down. What do you tend to? Do you mind how people do that, or you just say just? Is there any default method you use to help people keep that food diary?
I'm quite old fashioned. I'm just like bit of paper, write it down.
Cool. Perfect.
But I
Whatever's
know for
easiest.
some
Yeah.
people, I know some people, it really helps to have the like fitness pal
Yeah. My
on
Fitness
their
Pal.
phone. Yeah, that's it.
Or,
Sorry.
also I tell clients sometimes to keep a flash diary, which is just take a photo. It looks weird,
Yeah.
obviously, but it's the easiest way to just track through. But obviously, yeah, so writing down. But what you're saying, it doesn't really matter. Just be
No,
conscious of it.
whatever works for you.
Great. So you've got
I do it in
that.
my diary just because
Perfect.
it's there. I always have it with me.
Great. Okay, so
So
that's number
yeah.
one.
Yes.
Number two.
Number two, and I think this is where you come in.
Okay.
So I think one reason, and this seems quite unrelated to start off with until you look into it, is that stress. We really need to reduce our stress. So whether that's by exercising with your boot camps, or whether that's by kind of getting better at time management through your clarity coaching, I think you really need to help people reduce their stress levels.
Mm,
Um, and I assume you've heard of fight or flight, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically when the body's sympathetic nervous system is all fired up, and it causes huge changes to the way that our body works. So back in the day when we were kind of like saw a saber-toothed tiger and we were like, oh my God, we need to get the hell out of here. your body would put all your blood and all your energy to your legs and, you know, your heart to really get you going, it would divert away from your digestive system and building cells, the things that it didn't really need to do at that time. And this was designed to last for about 10 minutes or so, you know, so you've either got back to your cave or you've got eaten. But at the moment, we're kind of spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day in this fight or flight response. And with our high pressure jobs, the constant barrage of information that we just constantly get. And, you know, even in London, just getting the tube or the train is just such a stressful experience. So this is like leaving us in a state that our body's just not working like it should do. It's diverting blood away from our digestive system, and it's leaving us feeling really tense and fired up. I mean, I know that me as a lawyer, I never got a chance to switch off. I'd go home in the evening, my BlackBerry would constantly be buzzing. I'd be expected to check it all evening, first thing in the morning. At the weekends, I had to take it everywhere with me. I'd go on holiday and it was actually written that I had to check that thing 3 times a day on holiday.
Wow.
No chance to ever get off.
Yeah.
So I think with the fight or flight mode, our bodies turn to the easiest form of energy that they know, and that's glucose. So if our bodies need to start running from that tiger, they're not going to start turning to our fat and thinking, okay, we'll change this into glucose and energy we can use. Instead, it sends out signals to your body, okay, we've used up what we've got. We need more glucose, which is where the sugar cravings come from. A added blow to this is that we just will not lose that excess weight whilst we're stressed, because your body's just not going to burn the fat. Instead, it calls for more sugar. So by reducing the stress in your life, you're going to lose weight, stabilize your energy levels, and eliminate your sugar cravings.
So if we've got literally, you can only recommend to a client 2 things to reduce stress, if that is the problem, what 2 things would you kind of focus on as the things that you think can be most effective for stress reduction for most people?
Just have boundaries with technology. So
Perfect.
me, I don't take my phone in the bedroom. It's not allowed in my bedroom.
Yep.
I don't need it in there. I've got an alarm clock. And, you know, after 9 o'clock, I put it on airplane mode so I'm not tempted to look at it.
Yep.
Number 2, find what works for you exercise-wise. Some people love yoga. Some people love meditation. It doesn't really work for me so well. I'm more of a running about kind of person, but find something that really works for you. So
Perfect.
like boot camp, my stress reduction.
Love it. So it's basically boundaries with technology, which I love, which I'm a big advocate of. And I would say for me, what I think is one of the simplest ways is to buy a proper alarm clock. You get a lot of people who have their phone next to their bed, which is like, oh, I've got to have it there because that's my alarm clock. And what you fail to realize is that it makes the temptation to just quickly check the internet before you go to bed, check emails before you bed, so difficult to resist. Like, I have no willpower, so I have strategies that mean I don't need willpower. And I love that one. Create boundaries, and also find an exercise system that you love. Not the one that's most effective, the one you love. Because I don't think particularly, you know, Zumba can, you know, you can find lots of things slightly more effective than Zumba, but you know what? Some people love it. And if they love it, it's going to be far more effective in the long run. So I really agree with those. And finally, just briefly, that last one.
Okay, so my last
top tip.
Last top tip, and this is such a favourite of any of my clients. Eat more chocolate.
Okay, cool.
But the healthy kind.
Nice.
So I'm all about
I'll edit out the healthy kind.
I really love raw chocolate. So it's raw cacao, which is full of antioxidants, magnesium, and it's I encourage them to eat that whenever they fancy a sweet treat.
I love that tip.
And the reason I encourage them to eat that is because it means they're not depriving themselves. And I think if you take nothing else from anything else I've said today, deprivation is the fastest route to failure.
Right.
You know what it's like. As soon as you say to yourself, I'm not allowed something, all you can think about is how much you want that. So I think that's the first thing. It takes away that. And then also, it stops becoming such a big deal, and it really alleviates any guilt that you have around food. So I think it's so sad that we spend so much time kind of hating ourselves over certain things we eat and define ourselves by what we eat.
Yeah, I agree.
So I really wish I had more time to talk about this.
No, I love
so
that.
many more things.
And I also think, and I'm sure you know this, but you can confirm for me that often, sometimes people get if I'm correct here, sugar cravings because of a magnesium deficit, and actually the magnesium in the raw cacao can also help. I mean, my other thing is I take magnesium citrate sometimes to take the edge off. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I know
I'm so glad you pointed that out, because I always tell people that, but like I thought I don't have time to say that as
No,
well.
I love the fact you mentioned
But you said it.
I didn't know there was magnesium in raw cacao and in raw
So
chocolate.
much.
So
Yeah.
that helps it. So if people want to, as I'm sure they will, follow you, get more tips, more information, what's the easiest way they can kind of tap into what you're doing in the future?
Yeah, so I've got a blog, which is soon to be a website. We're just doing that in the moment, which
Cool.
is www.healthybluebird.com.
Yep, perfect.
And that's full of kind of recipes, and all of them are super simple. Anything that's got more than 5 ingredients or takes more than 10 minutes, I'm out.
I love it. I
So
love it.
yeah,
That's perfect for
lots
me
of
then.
sweet
Good.
treats. Who has time to spend
And I'll put that on
45 minutes?
I'll put that on the bottom, so we've got that. And your Twitter
Yeah.
tag.
Is the Healthy Bluebird, and also the Facebook page, which is probably the most active, is the Healthy Bluebird.
Brilliant. I'll put all those in the notes and on the bottom. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Claire. We've run out of time, but look forward to hearing about you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
See you
Bye-bye.
later.